What's up, military millionaires? I'm your host, Dave Perret, and today we have Joshua Rico on the show, and we're going to be talking all things credit, from repair to business credit to just setting yourself up for success. So Josh was a United States Marine, and now he is really just, I think the phrase entrepreneur, as buzzy and buzzwordy as that is fitting. He owns Section 8 rentals. He does credit repair. He does business credit. He has dabbled in a myriad of different things. And we got linked up on Instagram, and we're going to be chatting about just a whole bunch of different stuff revolving around the credit industry because it's really important. And he's just really passionate about helping with all that stuff. And so we're going to just jump right in because I didn't feel like doing any sponsorships or anything on this episode, and we're just going to do exactly that. So, Josh, welcome, buddy.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I like to keep it raw, straight to the point, Marine Corps style, like speaking crayon style. You know what I mean? Hey, let's go straight to the point, dumb it down, and let's get to it. I don't like the sugarcoat shit. Can we curse on here?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. We marked it explicit.
Okay, good. I like to keep it real,
Yeah, have fun.
So, basically, when I was in the Marine Corps, we were never taught anything about credit. Don't you agree, David?
Oh, yeah. No.
Still probably not. I don't know. I mean, I have a couple of friends who are still in. They're hitting the 20-year mark. But, I encourage them, and I encourage anybody who's still active, instead of these MCIs, I know these MCIs are good, right? But instead of these MCIs, teach them about financial literacy. Teach them about credit, because I strongly believe that it's the foundation of financial literacy. That, life insurance, real estate, of course, right? To build your wealth, and generational wealth to pass down to your kids, right? So, a funny story, back in 2009, I was a victim of identity theft while serving in Iraq. I was in South Sinjar with 3rd LAR. Right. So I was in South Sinjar, 3rd LAR in Iraq, and I was a victim of identity theft. One of my own family members, blood family members, took $6,000 out of my bank account without my knowledge, plummeting my score to the 500s. Obviously, I couldn't deal with this shit because I was deployed, right? So I didn't pay no mind. When I got back from the pump, I was tried to apply for, cars, apartments, and I got denied for the apartment. I got denied for a car, and when I did get approved, it was 17, almost 18% APR. And those, if you have that right now, Marines, or anybody who's watching this, if you have that right now, you need to come see me because that ain't it, right? You need to have lower percentage APR. But anyways, I thought that was good. I didn't know anything, right? Look, I hate feeling dumb. I mean, the Marines get a stigma of being dumb anyways, right? But I didn't want to be more dumb, if that makes sense. So I started diving deep into the credit world in 2009, right? Over the years. So over the course of 10 years, I got out the Marine Corps. Over the course of 10 years, I started studying about credit. I paid mentors $50,000 plus and still invest until this day in my knowledge, right? But like, I've now have 800 FICO scores, over 250,000 in both business and personal credit and counting. And I leverage that to purchase Section 8 rental properties now. All right. Now I have a business as well, right? That cash flows monthly, right? But my end game is financial literacy, one, teaching my kids, and then two, putting something into something that's guaranteed, because Section 8 is guaranteed. The government is going to pay you, whether it's an up economy or a down economy, right? A lot of stigma goes around Section 8. People don't like Section 8 because of the tenants or the problems that it has. You just got to properly screen. And if the numbers work, low turnover costs, it's a good model. And it's you can scale, etc. And it's real estate. You're growing your net worth and you're growing your cash flow at the same time. So multiple exit strategies. But that's the gist of most of how it started. There's a lot of in between that I missed, but that's what we do now. Right. So.
Yeah. I like it. And, my first duplex, the tenant on the other side was Section 8. And they were, I had them, I think they were in the house for, 2.5 years probably before they moved out. And, I maybe had one or two small issues with them, but I mean, it was like, when I say small issues, it was like, hey, can you take the tarp off of the porch because it looks stupid?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
type like just like kind of nuisance stuff. It wasn't like they were bad with rent or destroyed the property or anything. They were good with pretty much everything. It was just like kind of just, you know, hey, general like upkeep kind of cleanliness type stuff that you kind of, you know, typical tenant, like, hey, mow the yard, you know, crap. Which if I hadn't lived in the house, I would have never known about. And I'm sure all my other tenants are the exact same way. I just don't know because I don't live in the house. And they moved out and they were great. Now we didn't go back to Section 8 just because we had some really good other tenants come in and they were paying a little bit more rent. But I've never been opposed. Like I'll buy Section 8 properties. I will, you know, there's a great market for them. And there's not as many Section 8 properties in my current market as there are in some markets.
I'm in Cleveland, Ohio. There's a ton.
Yeah.
There's a ton. That, Detroit, etc. Now, I don't invest in war zones. I invest in, you know, but I want to tell you a story, too, how I was able to obtain this Section 8 property. David, I bought this Section 8 property with business credit cards only. That's the story that everybody likes. So I put it on my YouTube. I can mark it here, right? Guys, go follow my YouTube channel, Joshua Rico. I give all credit tips, business credit, and I actually walk through the property. I mean, I bought this property over the internet. I didn't have to go fly over there, being an out-of-state investor, but I wanted to shoot content. I flew on the plane for free using points on credit cards, hotel for free using points on credit cards, and basically I leveraged credit to live a free marketing lifestyle, but invest into cash flowing assets. And the way I did this is astonishing. So basically, you know, I had the purchase price of the property was $75K, turnkey. It was turnkey. I do not spend more than $5K on a property for, you know, cosmetic lipstick cosmetics, right? For fix ups. If not, I move on. But it was turnkey, $75K out the door. That was my first property. I was dealing with Kiavi, and we were set to close 2 weeks out. They said we can't fund the deal because I put 25. It was 20% down, about 16K closing costs. It came out to like 20, 22K, 23K out my pocket. And you know, we were set to close with Kiavi. They were going to fund the no doc loan for like the low doc loan for like 50K, which is unheard of now. Nobody's really doing 50K. If you are, let me know. If you have a lender, let me know because I need that. But they were going to loan the 50K at the closing table, and 2 weeks out before closing date, they said we cannot fund the deal. You have no experience. Blah blah blah. We don't make any money on the deal, etc. So like, wow, what the fuck am I going to do? So I started thinking, wait a minute, I'm the credit guy, right? So I have these credit cards. I already have 23K in the deal. I'll run it up to 25. I need $50,000 more at 0% APR. So I had $50,000. I liquidated these credit cards, liquidated them, and I paid 75K cash at the closing table. So I bought it cash. But as a real estate investor, you don't want to buy things cash and outright, right? You want to leverage. So I went back to Lima One, right? Lima One Capital, right? And basically what I said was this: look, you guys fund deals if you're experienced, right? He said, of course. I had the HUDs, I had the title, I had the Ds. All right, so does this count as experience? He says, it sure does. So I said, okay, I want to put a loan on it now. So I did a delayed financing play. So they paid me $52,000 at the closing table. I paid off my credit cards. So technically, I still went in with only 23K. By the way, that property is rented for $1,200 a month. It's over Section 8, fully 100% Section 8, fully screened. So that's over 20% cash on cash return per month using business credit cards. Now you can rinse and repeat. But I wanted to talk about like the criteria, what it like, because a lot of I mean, I don't know if Marines are watching this or anybody like that. But you need to know what to do to get those funds, those credit card funds, because not all the time the banks or the hard money lender is going to fund you. But what were you about to say? Sorry to cut you off.
I was gonna ask. So you liquidated the credit card to cut a check cash for the 50K. How did you manage? Like, you can't just swipe a credit card at the title.
No, you
company.
can't. You can't.
So I know there's some websites and there's some tricks. I'm curious how you managed to.
I'm gonna go through that.
Right, that's a piece a lot of people don't understand.
Yeah, so I'm gonna walk through that. So I actually have a payroll guy, right? Guys, payroll. Whether you have an S corp, well, by law, if you have an S corp, you have to pay yourself, right? You have to report that, right? So you have to have payroll by law. Even if you have an LLC, you have to make it look like you are paying yourself with W-2, etc. Right? Now, my payroll guy, we create legal pay stubs, one for bank statements. It saves on taxes, and you can liquidate your credit cards with my payroll guy. And for those of you who don't know, look up plastic.com, PLASTIQ.com. Now, they do charge anywhere from 2 to 3% of the swipe. So you need to kind of offset that. That's the only where, other merchants do it too. Back in the day, it was PayPal, Stripe, etc. But you want to stay away from those because they will shut you down. So go through plastic.com and you can liquidate that. If you guys are interested, just text me payroll and then I can set you up with my guy too. We're beating a lot of people from Paychecks who come from Paychecks and other payrolls. Anyways, but so I liquidated it through the payroll system and plastic.com. And with that plastic.com, you get the funds to you in your checking account, your business checking account. By the way, I bought it under my LLC too. I don't buy it under my name. I buy it under my LLC. And if you do buy it under your name, you can do a quick deed transfer, quick claim deed transfer to your LLC. But for protection. But that's what I did. I liquidated. I got the funds in my business checking account and then wired it to escrow. Does that make a little more sense?
Yep, easy enough.
You look up plastic.com, guys. Look up plastic.com. That's what we partner with. But you can do it yourself. Go to plastic.com and set up, the liquidation yourself. And you can call them too.
Beautiful.
So if you have business credit cards, especially at 0% APR, liquidate those to put down payments on your properties or even outright, right? So rinse and repeat. And you can do this with multiple LLCs. So that's why it's good to do that. But people don't understand there's requirements that you need to have before getting to the funding. It all starts with personal credit. I'm going to preach that to the day I die. If you don't have good personal credit, you're not going to be able to leverage. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, David. Like when you had to buy your properties, they check credit, do they not?
Well, on a good chunk of them.
Yeah.
Depends on how you buy them, right? You start getting into the crazy commercial and seller finance world, you don't have to play that game. But for most of them, yes.
For starting out, yes. For beginners.
Oh, yeah.
Definitely. I like seller finance, so I'm just getting into that too. So that's when you get no cash or credit. That's good. But
yeah. I've definitely bought my share of odd ones where there's, it's beautiful. There's no bank, there's no credit, there's no cash out of pocket. It's kind of magical, but that is not a easy or normal transaction. No,
definitely
the vast majority.
Majority of people, they need to have a good foundation of personal credit. Now, and and then income too. Income and taxes that come into play too. So once you have, the 3 C's: cash flow, collateral, and cash flow, collateral, and credit. The credit guy.
I was like, wait a minute. I feel like it's credit, but I don't want to say that because I feel like you would say that already.
Yeah, I freaking had a brain fart there. Damn. But yeah. So I want to go over the requirements of what your credit report should look like. It could be on Credit Karma, but I like to check FICO the most. If you guys don't know where to check your credit, I can send you a DM with that. But with credit monitoring, it's important to have credit monitoring because you got to track what you measure. You got to know what's going on in your credit. Like I said, I was a victim of identity theft. Had I had this credit monitoring service before, I would have been protected, liability-wise, etc. No hard feelings to that person, right? But they didn't understand better. Like nobody understands credit like that. But so what it looks like to have, I'm going to show you what it looks like to get $50,000 anywhere from 50K to 250K and more at a 0% APR, whether it's personal credit and or business. All right. So if you pull up your Credit Karma, I just use Credit Karma for, instructional purposes. Even though now the stigma on Credit Karma, let's set this straight. Everybody says, "Oh, it's not your real score." They could be right. They're right and they're wrong. It's your real score. It's just a different scoring algorithm. They run off of Vantage 3.0, right? Their Credit Karma scoring. It's a different scoring algorithm. The fact that people don't know is that bankers, loan officers, they use FICO based, right? Mostly FICO 8. So what I'm saying is this: your FICO needs to be stacked up right, all right? But let's go for Credit Karma for instructional purposes. You're going to go to your Credit Karma. Let's click on TransUnion or Equifax, one of those, right? And you'll scroll down to where it says credit factors. There should be 6 of them. And basically, you want all those to read green. And this is what it should look like. The top is 100%. It should read 100%. If it's less than 100%, if it's 99, that's good for MCIs in college, but it's not good for credit, which means you have a late payment on there. Okay? This is 35% of your score. Okay? Yeah. If you're late one time, your score drops anywhere from 50 to 180 points. So, put that bitch on auto pay, all right? And pay 3 to 5 times before the statement date. There's different dates, statement date and due date. We're going to talk about next, all right? But always pay before the statement date. You're going to set yourself up for success, right? So it should read 100%. Now, credit repair wise, I do own a credit repair company, right? Full disclosure, full transparency. However, late payments are the hardest to remove and reverse in the credit repair world, all right? And I'm going to give you guys a law that we use in our credit repair service so you can do it yourself, right? This is free information. I'm not holding back nothing. This is for my military members. I'm going to give you all this sauce for free. So if you go to Google and type 15 USC 166 Bravo and press enter, you'll see the law that we use for late payments. That's just one of the laws that we use for late payments. It's a billing error. Technically, it's saying that you can't be late for any purpose on an open-end credit card plan, and they must send in, 21 days before the statement date. They must send you a letter saying that here's your bill, etc. Must send it certified too. If they have not done so, that's a violation of your consumer rights. By the way, guys, look, especially if you're veterans or active duty, even if you're not, you're still a consumer in America. You are protected by laws. Consumer in America. You're a consumer in America, and you're protected by these laws that Congress set into place. Obama, all right, put into in 2008 when we had that financial crisis and the real estate crisis, he created something called the CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, and it's for us, apparently, supposedly, right? So leverage that to use that as your advantage. All right, so. Late payments, do not get them. If you have a late payment, here's an exception to where you can get funded. If it's a late payment, now, late payments stay on your report up to 7 years, but we don't want to wait 7 years. Now, they do cost less, like way less. If it's one late payment and it's been over 2 years, I've funded someone $100,000 before on the business side with having one late payment on the personal. By the way, I know I get off track a lot, but everybody's asking about business credit, how to get funded from business credit. Look, guys, you cannot get funded EIN only on the business side, just your business side, unless you're doing 2 million to 3 million revenue and your paydex score and business credit is built out. All these other gurus, I'm anti-guru, I hate gurus, right? All these other gurus are selling the stuff online. Hey, get funded business side. If your personal credit is trash, don't fall for the trap. There's something called PG, personal guarantor, on the business side. Okay. When you're getting funded for on the business side, they do what is called PG, personal guarantor, PG. They want to see your personal credit first, because if you default on that business side, you're gonna be the personal guarantor, right? Using your Social Security, etc. So don't get tripped up on what people are selling on this. hey, get funded. You can have bad credit. Don't listen to them. You have to have good personal credit first. Get funded, build it, right? If you need to go through credit repair, go through credit repair. If you need to build it correctly with certain banks and credit unions, local community banks, etc. Build the banking relationship, and we'll talk about that later. But build the banking relationship, create the data points, get funded on the personal side. Why get funded on the personal side? Because on the business side, I know it doesn't report to the personal credit report unless it's defaulted, but they lend up to 5 times the amount on your personal latest credit card. So if you have a 25K limit on your personal side, which I do multiple cards, that looks good on the business side. Hey, we can lend up. He can handle 25K on the personal. Let's give him more, right? We're getting clients average 50K, 100K on one credit card on one product. Why? Because their personal is structured right. All right. So I just want to put that on the side. So 100% payment history. Okay, we got that. Next is
if you've noticed, I've been looking off to the side. I while you were chatting, I got it all up. I created a Karma account. I'm a 99, so now I'm
Okay, and we'll talk about that later. Okay, so next,
I know which one I missed too, and I know why. So
we can talk. I can give you real data and procedure on how to attack that too.
Yeah. So since we're just I'm all about transparency on the podcast.
Yeah,
it happened. It is. I'll even pull the fucking culprit out.
Yeah,
it is. Oh, actually, the card's sitting over there.
What bank? What auto?
It was my United or my Barclays card for American Airlines, which I never use, and I used it. Apparently, I had one payment go out, and I think I was like $1 short on paying it off, and it was like right when I got out of the Marine Corps. It was like that month. And so the statement went to my Oceanside address as I moved back to Springfield.
Check this out. Oh, I'm gonna drop some bars. So when we fix credit, right? When I fix credit for my clients, the first and foremost step is this: pull up your credit reports. You have to have credit monitoring, and I could drop a link below for credit monitoring for our viewers to get access to all those 3 reports, and they're covered with liability insurance too from identity theft. But anyways. Pull up all your 3 reports. The first thing we have to look at is your personal information. It should be one name. It should be all congruent between TransUnion, Equifax, Experian, and there's a new one, David, I'm about to drop on you guys. Innovis. Okay. Fun fact, when I was disputing something off of Navy Federal for my own accounts, right, because they deleted some things on my own accounts, I asked, hey, you guys are not reporting to the 3. What's going on? He said, actually, sir, we do report to the 4. I said, the 4? Who's the 4th? He said, yes, sir. Experian, TransUnion, Equifax, and Innovis. Guys, nobody is teaching you this a lot, right? So there's multiple credit reporting agencies. They're not bureaus, by the way, guys. They are not bureaus. People think they're bureaus. They're not. I don't mean to be racial or anything like that, but when you call in, who you're answering? You call, hello, how are you doing? Right? Right? Yep. I'm just being real, right? They're for-profit companies, okay? And you can cancel that out. I know there's some snowflakes out there, some pussies that.
Oh no. Yeah, it's whatever.
Yeah, all right. Okay, cool.
Unless you want me to pull it out.
No, I mean, we're military. Back in my day when we were serving, we were all about that. I don't know, but now
it's whatever. It is what it is. We outsource call centers.
Now, exactly, we outsource call centers. I mean, we do it too. I mean, but the thing is this:
I've got more virtual assistants than I do in-person employees. So
me too.
Whatever.
And I train them, staff them, and they're phenomenal. But what I'm saying is this: the point of my thing is this: they're for-profit companies. They're not bureaus. The only bureau there is CFPB, the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. So these are for-profit companies, which means you can sue them for wrongful damages. Which, by the way, David, disclaimer: I'm not a lawyer or CPA, but I've successfully consulted a client to sue Equifax, Experian, TransUnion when they were at fault and violating his consumer rights. But that's a sidebar. So you can challenge this. Back to what I was saying. I get off in a tangent. I get passionate about this, bro. For real.
I distracted you. So.
No worries. So we want to have everything congruent on the personal side. It should be one name on your report, no aliases and anything. Whatever on your birth certificate and driver's license should be that, nothing else. And if you pull up your Experian reports, you're going to see that there's a bunch of misspelled names, wrong names. Could be one of two things: identity theft or fraud, or who gave them permission to report that anyways. You have the wrong name, inaccurate. There's four things that are going to get deleted off your report. Obviously, identity theft, right? That's a whole different thing. I've been through it. I know exactly what it feels like. Inaccurate, unfair, unverifiable. Those are the things. So if you pay attention to what I just said, if it's unverifiable, if they can't prove it, they must remove it. If it's inaccurate, they have to remove it within this 30 days time span. So what I'm saying, you have to have one name, one address, no employers. Why no employers? Because if you're sending a collection agency or a late charge or a charge off, dispute letters, people are not reading these letters. They're a multi-billion-dollar company. They get 300,000 letters a day, right? So they're putting into this system called eOscar. It's an AI. They've been doing AI way before we've been doing AI. They put these letters, they don't even read it. It just spits out whatever. It's a verified, updated, or deleted. The reason why you guys are getting a dispute letters that is verified is because you're not cleaning your personal information up first. And these collection agencies, they're violating your Fair Debt Collection Practices Act, FDCPA laws, consumer rights, because they backdoor you and go to your friends and family. That's a violation of the law. Your employers, your friends, your family, your associate, your spouse. And they say, hey, is David there? He owes a debt. That's a violation of the law without my consent. All right. There's a lot of laws. Like I said, again, I'm not a lawyer. Disclaimer, I'm not a lawyer, but I read the laws. And that's what we use in our letters. Right. But anyways, you want to have one name, one address. It's kind of hard to delete all the addresses, but you said you live somewhere else. So I would get on a call. Hey, where'd you send that late payment letter to? Because I never got it. Oh, did you send it certified? I never got it. Oh, you sent it to that address? I lived over here. So therefore, that's inaccurate. Boom. And you have you know what I'm saying? Also, with the late payments, you can also email the CEO, guys. I'll give you a website too. But go to LinkedIn, go to Twitter, go to Instagram, go to Facebook. They do not go to BBB, go to the Attorney General, right? They do not like public, not slander, but negative reviews, right? So leverage that, right? So that's we can talk more in depth of that. I can give you some more sauce on that, but look up that law again, guys. 15 USC 1666B as in Bravo. Use that law, read it out loud, and go from there. There's another one, 15 USC 1681A2I, and you can read that as well too for late payments. The late payments are illegal; they should not be on there. I mean, I can go down this deep rabbit hole. I mean, who gave them permission to even report? Where did credit reports come from? Who gave them permission to furnish my information without my consent or written consent? That's a deep rabbit hole that I don't want to go down here. We don't have enough time for that. But let's go over the next tier, which is very important. This, David, with this hack alone, I've gotten people into mortgages over here in Temecula and Menifee, right, in California. High home value prices, right? Guys, let me ask you, David, credit card utilization, what do you think that you need to be under?
My understanding is that 50% is the magic number, but I've also heard 30. The funny thing is that people always think like the best thing to do is to shrink your credit card limit. And I'm like, dude, no, like if you can increase your limit and just not spend the money, your utilization goes down. The funny thing is that's actually my one of my only reds, but that's because I just took a crap load out of my credit cards to flip a house. So
I'm about to give you a bar. Okay, look, whoever told you 50%, I want to slap them. All right. Okay, I'm just being real.
Hey,
30.
I'm learning.
30% is mediocre. Okay,
gotcha.
I'm gonna give you the real one you want to stay under. It's under 10%, ideally 6%. If you ever go on Experian, the app, it'll have a legend of your total credit limit It'll say 30% right here, and it'll say 6% right here. The low, okay, guys who you're viewing, everything in this section is 30% of your score, by the way. So if you have no data, no credit cards, you're actually hurting yourself. It's like taking a 100-question SAT test. That's multiple choice and not even attempting to answer 30 of the questions. You're shooting yourself in the foot. So whoever told you not to have credit cards or credit, the Dave Ramsey's out there, right? They don't know what they're talking about. You need credit cards, at least 5, to be honest with you. But anyways, you want to stay under 6%, max 10%. I mean, the worst case scenario, 30%. Anything over 30%, it ain't it. Okay. Elite level is 1% for funding purposes to hack the system. Okay, 1%.
At least mine's gonna get paid off in about 35 days when my house sells.
That's good. Now we want to
because you don't want to know where mine's at right now.
What? Full disclaimer, mine's the same way. I'm at 74% right now.
Oh, that makes me feel better. I'm at 75.
Okay, I'm at 74% right now, guys. All right, but it's gonna get paid off next month.
Yeah, right. I've got I think 4 things left on my punch list, and I should be taking photos on Monday to list this house. So
$70K I got to pay off. So, but here's the thing, though, right? I don't do that often, and you guys should not do that often because you're going to pay an interest, and you want to avoid those low payments, right? So, unless you're not paying it the next month, right, or before the statement dates, you do not want to use your personal credit unless you're making money back. Don't use it on vacation. Don't use it on Gucci belts or, stuff like that, right? Use it for an ROI that you know you're going to get back, right? And it's FDIC insured. I always, disclaimer, I live off of credit cards. I pay credit cards first. I use credit cards for everything. I do not use a debit card. I use a debit card to pay off the credit card because it's FDIC insured. Anyways, 30% of your score as credit card utilization. Everything in this section is opposite. So the higher your percentage is, the lower your score is going to be. But the lower your percentage is, the higher your score is going to be. We tracking? So be under 6%, guys. I guarantee you your score is going to skyrocket. And with this hack alone, I got people into mortgages. So pay before the statement date. Okay, you can have 0% on these cards, guys, and to avoid interest. Right? So pay before the statement date. There's statement date versus due date. The due date is when you get the bill in the mail saying, hey, you have to pay by this time. Pay it on that time. Set up auto pay for minimum payments, even though you're not going to pay the minimum, you're going to pay it off, right? Because what happens when you pay it off for multiple months? They give you automatic increases without hard pulls, right? They see that you're using the product. You're doing it responsibly. You're paying before the statement date, and you're paying it off quick. This guy can handle 5K. Let's shoot him 10K. Let's raise the limit to 10K. Oh, let's raise the limit to 25K, 50K, etc. Now you have more money to play with as you grow. But you got to be a financial literate and responsible. All right. So that's that. Now the next part is most of America's problem, which is the derogatory.
Boom. Nailed it.
Thank God. Unfortunately, 79% of consumers in America have something inaccurate, unverifiable, unfair, or that's not supposed to be there on their credit reports. 79% of America, the FTC conducted a study for. You can look it up. So, I mean, honestly, that's why I'm in business, because I'm helping people, with their credit reports, right? Because they have charge-offs, bankruptcies, evictions, child support, repossessions, collections. We handle all that on our clients' behalf. And I have tons and tons of video and screenshot testimony of my clients. But here's the thing, guys. If you have a derogatory remark, it needs to be erased. You cannot have any of those negative remarks on your credit report, right? If you do, you have to work with the lender. But for funding purposes, for funding and the to get these access to this 50K, 250K, 500K, etc., you need to have those removed. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. Either do it yourself, learn to do it yourself, or hire an expert to do it for you. All right. So there's no debates on that. You have to have no derogatory remarks. Okay. Now that we got that out the way, and if you do have any remarks, DM me or go to info.approverepair.com. Schedule a call with my team, and they're already vetted, they're trained and everything. They work for me. They're good to go. We'll onboard you, and then we get that taken care of. Now, I do want to say this disclaimer out there. There is no set time for credit repair or credit process. Anybody who's guaranteeing you, one, we cannot guarantee results because it's against the FTC. But anyone who guarantees to wipe this off in a certain amount of time, it is illegal and it's a scam and they're doing something illegal. That's all I got to say about that. Not here to bash anybody. I'm just here to tell you the truth. I'm not led you astray. So this could very well take 6 to 12 months, maybe more, maybe less. I've gotten clients done in 3 hours before. I've got clients done in a week before. I've got clients done in 3 months. I've got clients who've been on for 2 years, but they were at the low 400s. Now they're at the 760s, right? Because of the fact that they had bankruptcies, child support, etc. on there. But now, through progress and coaching and time, it's a gradual thing, right? It's not an overnight process. Some cases there's overnight process where there's inaccuracies and you can prove, but just keep that in mind. But anyways, next is your accounts. Average age history. Am I right, David? Average age history. Guys, these are all the accounts you ever applied for and have open. That's why it's good to not close accounts. By the way, guys, have you ever had an auto loan and you paid it off in full and your credit score shoot down? It is because you just closed an aged trade line. That had some season on it. It has some years on it. So this is the number it should read. Ready? Drum roll. At least you should have 5 years and up. 7 years is ideal. But here's the deal. Here's the deal. Oh, Rico, I hit all those, but one. Well, there's a hack to that. It's called authorized users, piggybacking and trade lines. Now, there's a gray area with this that people like to have a back and forth with. But I say this. I go with trade lines. I go with authorized users. Why? Because if you call the banks and you're applying for a credit card or a credit product, they like to say, would you like to add any employees or authorized users on your card? If the banks wouldn't, you know what I'm saying? Have you ever applied, David, to where you said, oh, wait, you're applying for this card. Would you like to add any authorized user on this card? Meaning your significant other, your friend, whatever. What does authorized users do, guys? It does one of two things. Let's say, David, you're at a 75% utilization. What if you were able to add $50,000? I have a $50,000 credit card on my personal. Be like, hey, Navy Federal, I'd like to add David Pierre as an authorized user. Sure, just give me his date of birth, social security, address, name. Boom. The next 45 days, my data from that card is now added onto your data. So now instead of the credit limit you have extra limits. What does that do to your score? What does that do to your utilization? It shoots down and your score shoots up. Boom. Okay. So first thing, reach out to your
interestingly enough, if I have say I had like a personal loan, or I just took out a loan on like a Ducati per se that I bought a week ago or 2 weeks ago. And that would drag my average age of credit down. If I pay that off, then I'd be back up. So that kind of works in reverse too. On something like that, where it's not a credit line.
Well, it goes hand in hand. One, you want data points to build. So I recommend anywhere from 8 to 12 months having that payment on there, right? Because my McLaren, I bought my McLaren zero down through Navy Federal, right? 153K loan. Exactly. I have great credit. I'm the credit guy, right? So McLaren zero down, which I now put on Turo for $900 a day, right? So it's an asset now. But also I have my YouTube logo on there, so I'm gaining business. But anyways, the thing is this. It's 53K loan. It's reporting for almost a year. That's a data point. Now I could trade that in or sell it off. I clear that cash flow up, and then also now I have comparables. Yes, it might shoot down for a little bit. It'll grow over time, but the average age does trip up sometimes, right? But the thing is too is this: you can combat that with the trade line. So what if that card I had on there was 45 years old? Just you do have grandmas out here that have 45-year-old trade lines, by the way, that opened a card in 1975, right? Imagine putting a 45-year-old trade line. It's going to offset that. You're going to have over 10 years. That boosts your age and your limit, which in turn boosts your score. Does that make sense? So it's going to boost your age, guys, and it's going to boost your score. Things to look out for, though. If that card has a late payment on it, now you have a late payment, which is a no-go. That card must be at least 2 years of age, at least 2. All right? So that's a little bit of data points. But back to what I'm saying, you're building data points, right? So however much that Ducati was, let's say it's the way Navy Federal works, right? Let's say this 153K loan that I have for my McLaren, right, on Navy Federal. I've got this from car companies. You wanted to have at least report 8 to 12 months. Anything past that is good, right? Why? You're showing them that you can handle it for a year, or payments, right? You're showing them you can handle $2,800 payments a month, right? But the thing is, when you sell it, now you have a good standing with that company. Now Navy Federal likes to double sometimes the limits. You work in tiers in the car industry. First car was 30K, next is 60, next is 120, whatever. Now I can go for a $300,000 car, where it was a Lamborghini, Rolls Royce, whatever, right? So you're building your data points on your personal side. That's why I said your personal credit is good. Let's see if you want to go to a bank for a loan. Hey, can you handle a $150,000 loan? Check my credit, sir. Oh, he's handled this for a year straight. He can handle the payments and the interest rate. Approved for 300K. What am I going to do with that 300K? Properties and seller finance, baby. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's a lot. 300K is a lot for seller financing, right? If you know what you're doing. So it's all about comparables and building data points. Guys, don't worry about the score. I have to say this. Don't worry about the score. Just because you have a 760 does not mean you're going to get approved for shit. It's about the data points and the credit profile. How thick is your profile? How thick is your comparables, right? You can have one credit card that you've been paying for a year, and it's a 760. But when I had a client do that, he go for a car, denied. You're trying to get a $50,000, $60,000 car when you have no comparables before. You need to start off. You know what I'm saying? Or a vehicle, whatever. So that's 5 years of age. So 5 years of age is minimum. I've seen people get funded with 2 years. Just know experience trumps all, right? So the longer the age and the longevity you have, the better, right? You'll get approved for, because lenders are seeing this. He has enough experience for years, and you can combat that with trade lines. Now, if you don't have a family or friend or trusted military member that you know that you can help you out and has good data points on a trade line, you can purchase trade lines from a company, but be careful. Most are scamish. Just being real with you. All right. So reach out to a family and friend first, or a grandma, and just explain to them, look, I'm not having the card. I'm not being in possession of your card. I just want the data points on it. It's going to help piggyback and boost my score. When you get the card in the mail, grandma, cut it up. That's it. And make sure they stay below 6% or 9% too, because whatever they use is going to go on your report too. All right. So 5 years and up, 7 years and up is ideal. Next is accounts. You should have 11 plus accounts. Good. 11 plus open accounts. Okay. Open in or total, but I recommend open. Why? And then these accounts too, it has to be a blend of credit, because 10% of your score is a blend of mixed credits, right? You can't just have all revolving debt and all credit cards. You can't just have all auto loans or all mortgage. You need to have a blend of those. So do you have credit cards? Do you have auto loans? Do you have personal expense loans? Do you have mortgages? Do you have student loans, etc.? Right? Loans and installment loans are great. They weigh a lot. And if you're a part of Navy Federal, YouTube or Google the pledge loan. If you're building out your credit from scratch too, if you have no credit, you're 18 years old, right? You have no credit. look up the pledge loan strategy, and I guarantee you that's one of the best ways to build credit if you have no installment loans, right? Basically, what the pledge loan is this. This is for someone who has no credit at all, and they're 18 years old from scratch. By the way, I got sidetracked. The 18 years old thing. If you have children, I have 3 children, my husband and a father, right? If you have children, guys, start putting your children as authorized users so you can build their generational wealth for the future. By the time my 2-year-old daughter, my 9-year-old son, and 12-year-old daughter is 18, they'll have 800 FICO scores because I've had them on as an authorized user. By the way, I'm teaching them too as we go. Here, this is how you manage it when I'm gone, etc. I never had that shit when I was growing up. I'll tell you that. Right? All right. So set your kids up for success. But anyways, back to what I was saying. Mix of credit.
Should you put them on a card that you like? Obviously, you don't want to put them on a card that you like, the one that you have a higher utilization on. Would you put them on one that you don't use, or like just to make sure that you stay below, or the one that you use and pay off every? Oh, yeah, all right.
Put them on all of them because now they're building data points, and now they're in the system of that bank too. Their data points are in that bank and their internal system. Now, some banks have age requirements, so you ask about that. Hey, what are the age requirements for this? I want to add such and such, and with those cards, right, you can pay bills under their name. Just make sure it's automated. Don't fuck up their credit though. You know what I'm saying? Like my family members did. You know what I mean? So know how to manage it. You got to manage that. Just like you're managing yours, get the hang of yours, and set your kids up for success so they can leverage and buy a property at the 18 years of age. You see what I'm saying? So that's a good one. That's a good question right there. So figure out the bank's requirements. I would put them on every authorized user as you can if the bank permits it, right? And then go from there. All right. Yes, it's gonna their utilization might affect, etc. Right? But we're building to the business credit, right? So what do I mean by that? David, you should not be using, and I shouldn't be using anyways. I'm contradicting myself right now. It was just this month, but we should not be using or leaving a balance of 74% a month on our personal. We should be leveraging our business credit. Why? Because that's a whole nother conversation, guys, but business credit does not report to the personal. You can max that thing out, 100K, right? It doesn't report unless you default. We don't plan on defaulting because we are putting our funds into something that's bringing ROI. Side note. But leverage business credit. So that way your personal credit stays good for cars or mortgages or whatever you need to make a play on, if that makes sense in the future. All right. So 11 open accounts, 11 open primary accounts under your name. It needs to be under your name, no authorized users, etc. Okay. That's what I recommend. Remember, we're on the road to get 50K to 250K at 0% APR in the first year. Okay. Next under that is the hard inquiries, right? This is the one. And you mentioned something to me about Ducati, David. Let me ask you. I hope you didn't go to the dealership to apply.
No, I bought it private party, but I did run into the whole unbankable thing, which is always fun, where I forgot that, even though my portfolio lender that I do all my local stuff with, we have, $4.5 million worth of mortgages with them on investment loans. And, so, they're like, oh, your LLC showed 180K loss last year because of your cost seg, so we can't lend on this motorcycle. And I'm like, I paid your almost $5 million in mortgages.
Yeah.
You think I would have done that if I was losing 15K a month? So I ended up going to Navy Fed and being like, I don't know. All I have is one auto loan and I make disability. That's it. I have nothing else in my name. And they were like, oh yeah, approved. It's pretty funny.
That's what I'm talking about. I love Navy Federal. Okay?
Yeah.
So look, guys, what he just said right there is key. Do not ever go to a dealership unless you desperately have to and you have no credit and you have bad credit, whatever, right? Why? because they're going to shotgun your freaking credit. You ever go to a dealership, guys? Those of you watching, you get multiple inquiries. Ding, 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 ding. What does that look like to lenders? You look risky. You look desperate. So the more you could have an 850 credit score, the more inquiries you have, they're not going to lend to you. You're looking for too much money, etc. Yeah, it's low impact, right? And they fall off after 24 months, 2 years, right? On the 25th month, it'll fall off. But we don't want to wait that. We want to apply strategically, right? So do not go to a dealership. Get pre-approved. First, do your research, what vehicle you want, have a good profile, etc., and go to your credit union. Go to someone you bank with. I recommend credit union. I recommend Navy Federal. I mean, they got my McLaren zero down. It's a story to tell, right? But go get pre-approved first and go there with confidence. Hey, I want to buy this vehicle. That's one hard pull, right? It's one hard inquiry versus 15, 54 I've seen on some of my clients. And yes, we remove hard inquiries too, okay? For your real estate transactions, your car, etc. You do not want to remove hard inquiries, though, if they are attached to an open personal trade line and or credit card, because you can risk losing that trade line and credit card, which is not bad. So there, you guys have that. Your data points, all right, the data points I was talking about. If you match all those requirements, I guarantee you at least 50K, 0% APR in the first year, all the way up to 250K, maybe even 500K. All right, whether it's both personal and or business. And if you do meet those requirements, comment below funding, and we can schedule a talk. You work directly with me for the funding. And if you don't meet those requirements, guys, I don't like to sugarcoat shit. Look, there's no way around it. You need freaking credit repair, all right? And you need, guidance on to fix every one of those data points, and then you can move forward. There's no substitute. I don't care what these influencers or YouTubers or gurus are saying. You need to get your personal credit right first, build it out correctly, fund it, and then you move on to LLCs. And the intro to this business credit and LLCs, fun fact here, David. Real estate, construction, property management, Airbnb, financial, etc. I never tell my clients to set their LLC name and their industry NICS code as that, because it's in high risk industry. So if your LLC reads that, unless you're doing millions in HUDs, you need to change that LLC or go about it a different way. I always go business consulting, marketing, etc. It's a low risk industry, which means more broader funds, which means more funding. For example, I can't go to Navy Federal. Navy Federal does not do business with credit repair at all. At all. That's why they say when the business side, hey, do you do credit repair or counseling or anything like that? I say no. My credit repair company is something that I don't even tell them I have a credit repair company. I do business consulting or management or marketing. Cool. You give them the NICS code, which is 541611. That's a bar right there. Or go to NICS.com. Go to business consulting and or marketing, guys. That's the industry codes you want to be in. Remember, and this is just for funding purposes. You could use those funds to do real estate transactions anyways, but you want to be fundable. And unfortunately, real estate, I know real estate is tried and true if you're doing it right. But to the banks, they don't like it, guys. It's a low risk industry. I mean, it's a high risk industry. And high risk means little to no funds. So have that set up right. And we can go through that. But basically, I hope you guys got value from that.
Yeah, super value. I missed how many hard inquiries were you saying you need to standard?
Yeah, so you don't want no more than 2 to 4 hard inquiries in the last 6 months to a year. After a year, don't worry about it. They're low impact. And if they're not attached, if you got denied and they're not attached to anything, delete them. All right, delete them. They're not authorized, whatever, or have you. Just call into these credit reporting agencies. They're not authorized, they're inaccurate, etc. Or it's not me. All right.
Man, logged out on me. Let me see where these fall. I'm at 4, but
And keep in mind, those are just Credit Karma factors. There's Vantage 3.0.
Oh,
You want to go on a FICO too, because there's different scores. You'll find that FICO's either higher, typically higher or lower, depending on what you have in your credit reports.
I'm at 4, but only 2 in the last year.
You're good to go. It should read green.
And 2 of those 4 are Exactus, which is just the every year this is the cool thing with working with like the local bank, the super portfolio lender is, and this is kind of why I was like, when you talked about credit earlier, like people don't realize when you have that like super portfolio lender, first name basis lending relationship, they pull my credit once a year.
Mm-hmm.
And they look at my tax returns when I get them done, and that's it. And I can do 50 loans with them throughout the year, and they just use that credit report and that tax return whenever it comes in through the year. So they pulled it in November of 21, they pulled it in August of 22, and that's, once a year they pull it.
With your consent, right? With your consent?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Because if it wasn't your consent, that's $1,000 per violation, by the way. But anyway.
Yeah. No.
You said something very key, though. You mentioned something very key, which sometimes can trump some credit scores. Relationships, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Banking relationships. Make relationships. What is a relationship? Okay. When I go to a bank, I've already done my research on them. I like to talk to a business relationship manager. And I like to gather the info, right? I sit down, I ask them these qualifying questions because in the end of the day, they need you. You don't need them. You have to have that attitude. Okay. Now, banking relationships. Hey, I want to park my money here. I want to use your business checking account. I want to use your money market accounts. I want to use your CD accounts. I want to use your savings. I want to use your credit cards and loans. Deposit 5 to 10K in that business checking and let it sit. What does that do? The fractional reserve banking. You know what banks do when your money's not real. Once you put it in there, it's gone, right? They lend on that. So every dollar they're lending to 10 times. So, you put 10K in there, it's called bank rating. It's a bank rating, low 5, right? So that hacks the system on the fundability. So if you have your credit score right, you have your LLC right, and you put in the bank relationship and let it age and season a little bit like a salt dog you are, right? That gives you more credibility on the funding aspect. Look, he lent us 10K. He's got HUDs. He's got income coming in and out. He's got a perfect credit score. Let's lend him 100K.
Yeah, I've got a friend who, and we don't need to get into all this craziness, but basically he will take what would be the down payment and just lock it into a CD for the duration of renovating an entire commercial property. And we're talking, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then they'll fund the entire project, purchase, renovation, whatever. And when he refinances, he'll pull everything out. The CD ages out at the end of the year and he pulls it back. And the bank loves it.
Building the data points with that bank. He's building banking relationships and he's building his business credit and data points with that.
And the CD earns a decent return the whole time.
Exactly.
At least it outpaced inflation until, a year and a half ago.
Exactly.
So
certain banks do this. So you just got to know the banks are your friend. Banks are used just for transactions, guys. It's not used for investments, but it's used for transactions to show on the paperwork so you can use for investments.
We can go on and on and on all day about relationship side, but we've gone on for an hour. We normally try to keep it around this, and this has been super informational, but I don't want to completely overwhelm everyone. So we might have to do a part 2. But
for sure,
dude, this has been solid. And this has been solid because this is just super tactical. Pull up your Credit Karma, walk through as you're listening to the show. Boom, 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 boom. My score is not terrible. I know where it could improve. I know exactly what I'm going to do when I get off this show. I'm going to go tweet at freaking Barclays and be like, yo, I've got 2 freaking whatevers. They're on this date 2 months after I EAS because you guys sent freaking shit to the wrong address. You guys
talk to them, call it on your credit report, pull up your credit report, see the number there, and by mail too. I was never late. Can you please transfer to the supervisor? Ask for the supervisor. Look, I've pulled out my credit reports. I was deployed at the time, whatever, right? I was never late on this. Can you guys please update it to such and such? Guys, if they send you a letter stating just a bill, that does not constitute as proof. Okay? Show me the proof when you send it. Did you send it certified? What date did you send it? What address did you send it to? Blah, blah, blah. And you can either get it done or it's going to take months and months, persistency and consistency. But we could talk more about that. There's so many methods to do so. All right.
Hell yeah.
All right. Get that.
I love it.
100%.
And real quick, where can people get a hold of you?
Awesome. My main channel is YouTube, Joshua Rico. I spit out all credit knowledge, whether it's business, Turo, real estate, etc. Or they can go to Instagram, Joshua Rico SR, or Facebook, Joshua Rico.
Yep. We talk on Instagram all the time. And guys, I'll drop the link to his website, obviously, in the show notes. Go over there and hit him up, whatever. Let him know you found him through the podcast. I don't have an affiliate set up with him or anything official, but if let him know you found him through the podcast so he knows that you guys found the podcast valuable, because I definitely think this was good.
Definitely. And this we haven't even tapped the surface, guys. I can go more in depth. I thank you, David, for having me on the podcast. If you want me to come back and drop some more game, I'm down for that, just to help my fellow Marines too and military.
Of course, brother. Yeah, we'll talk. Awesome. Let's make it happen.
Awesome, man.
Thanks for joining us.
Yep. Peace.